Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to Syriana Analysis. I'm your host, Kevork Almassian. Very much for tuning in to today's live streaming. I appreciate you all, whether you're watching this stream on YouTube, on Rumble, or on Gene Word. Today, I have a special guest with me, Ibrahim Majed. I've been following him on X for quite some time now, and he's publishing brilliant geopolitical analysis on his account. And I'm very much excited today to have a conversation with him about a possible joint Israeli Jolani attack against Lebanon. Something that it seemed for many people predictable in the past decade. But here we go again. We have to remind the people that there are sometimes mutual ground between the US, Israel, and these Takfiri groups in the region. Ibrahim, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Hi, Kevork. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm also doing fine for now. I really hope that this type of attack won't happen on your country, Lebanon. Today, I want to go step by step with you to analyze what happened and what could happen in the future, because our role is not only to analyze what already happened, what we could also see what would happen next, especially that we can read the context and the sequence of events in the past. I will start with you, Majid, with an article you published on your X account. The title says, "The Heart of the Axis of Resistance and the Key to Foiling Israel Expansionist Dream." So you are referring to Syria as being the heart of the axis of resistance and the key to foiling Israeli expansionist dream. In the past 14 years, there was a brutal war in Syria. Everybody knows about it, but there was an element that was very important, and the decision of Hezbollah to intervene in Syria in 2012, and they have fought against this al-Nusra, ISIS type, and they have paid hundreds, let's say, of their own soldiers who have fallen on the Syrian soil. In your article, you argued why Syria has been very important for the axis of resistance. If you could start this conversation with us, why Syria mattered for the axis of resistance to the extent that Hezbollah sent forces to Syria, Iran sent its military logistical support, and also some of the military formations, let's say, which were linked to Iran in the past.
Yeah, okay. First of all, thank you for having me, Kevork. And let's say that Syria is not only important for the axis of resistance, Syria is the heart of the world, actually. And all the trade routes, most of the trade routes, and most of the empires throughout the past who wanted to control the world, they came and conquered this area, the Levant area that we call in Arabic Bilad al-Sham, which is now Syria and Lebanon, and Palestine, of course, and Jordan. So Syria is important for the axis of resistance for so many reasons. The first and most important reason, it is the path and the corridor between Iran, which is the head of the axis of resistance, and the other factions of resistance coming through Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and occupied Palestine. The weapons and uh, the money, everything
Logistics,
has to,
yeah.
the logistics, all of the logistics has to pass through Syria. Uh, the Israelis have always wanted, and I need 2 minutes to speak about this because I think it's extremely
Please.
important. After the 2006 war, the Israelis did a committee. It's called the Vinograd Committee,
Yes, I remember.
and also the National Institute, the Security Institute in Israel also said, in order for us to be able to destroy the resistance in Lebanon and in Palestine, we have to divide Syria into three sectarian countries, and these three sectarian countries have to be at war. And this war has to extend to Iraq and to Lebanon as well. So, for the Israelis and the Americans to stop the flow of the logistics and the weapons and everything for the axis of resistance, they needed to divide Syria. And they found the perfect tool to do that. Takfiri groups, who are actually, most of them are not probably Syrian. There is a huge number that is not even from the whole Levant. They
Yes.
are from areas outside this geographical spot in the world, and they actually work for the Israelis, whether they know it or they do not know it. I believe their leaders know it. Probably
100%.
the people that are fighting are brainwashed and they do not know it, but they do work for the Israelis because cutting this supply route will only benefit Israel. There's
Yes.
another point that I would like to speak about. The Israelis wanted to take control of Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon is an extremely important geographical point in the Middle East. It looks over Syria. By the way, and for everybody to know, Syria is not free. Syria has fallen, actually, and it's
Yes.
fallen in the hand of the Israelis because once you control Mount Hermon, Damascus has fallen from a
Yes.
military point of view. And it
Indeed.
also controls Lebanon, the Bekaa Valley, where the Israelis believe most of the ballistic missiles for the resistance are in the Bekaa Valley. It also controls areas of Jordan and areas of Saudi Arabia. This is the Greater Israel Project. If you look at the map, this is the Greater Israel Project.
Yes.
If you want to push to this project, you have to take Syria. Without taking Syria, the Israelis cannot accomplish this.
And once they took over Mount Hermon now, are they basically capable of overlooking not only, let's say, the Syrian front line, Damascus, but also inside Lebanon? And this means that Hezbollah is now more isolated than it was before the takeover of Mount Hermon. So you're saying
Exactly.
Mount Hermon is strategically important. We're not talking only about some hill, you know?
No, no, it's definitely it's not a hill. It's a very important point for intelligence for the Israelis and also for having firepower over some areas that they always wanted to have firepower over. Because right now, let's say for example that another war in Lebanon happened, the
Hmm.
Israelis can attack from two fronts, not only from one front. They can attack from the eastern front of Lebanon. Also, Al Jolani is there to help them, and from the southern part of Lebanon.
Hmm.
So basically, what they are doing is cornering Hezbollah and cornering the resistance and cornering the Lebanese in an area, in a very tight corner, and trying to push their project through dismantling the resistance from its weapons and then pushing the project that they always wanted to do, which is divide the region into sectarian countries. Look, the Sykes-Picot is over, and we have to face this fact.
Yes.
Sykes-Picot is done. We are in the new Sykes-Picot, and I don't know what it's going to be called, but for the Americans,
Tom Barak.
Sykes-Picot, yeah, probably Tom Barak. So basically, for the Americans, Sykes-Picot is too big. We need to divide more.
Hmm. And this Tom Barak, is it true that he has an Lebanese roots and his
Yeah,
family
Lebanese.
migrated to the States 100 years ago or so?
Exactly, Lebanese origin, which is, by the way, very smart from the Americans because he actually knows the Lebanese social fabric. He knows how to speak with the
Hmm.
Lebanese. Do you get what even though he made a mistake a couple of days ago, in my
Yeah.
opinion, and he fixed it directly, but he knows, not like the previous envoy, Morgan Ortegas, who was actually, like,
She was more like a show then.
exactly. It wasn't something like you would think of politics and American politics. That's why they
Hmm.
removed her because you cannot speak to people, to leaders in this region the way she was speaking. It doesn't
Yeah.
work like that.
And I want to go further with your article, but Tom Barak, it seemed to me that he threatened Lebanon in the past few days by saying Lebanon has to hurry. If they don't hurry, Lebanon will become part of Bilad al-Sham or the Levant. I mean, me and you, I'm sure that we are more for more unity between these Arabic countries, right? Like having some sort of probably federalism between the countries in the Levant. But what they're trying to do is to create mini states in and ethno states in the country, and then turn them against each other, like what's happening today in Sweden
Exactly.
after all these wars against the Alawites and the Ismailis, Yazidis. Now they're coming again after the Druze, and this argument that the Jolani regime always says we have had enough of wars, we want peace and prosperity, but they always have the energy to fight against the religious and ethnic minorities in the region.
You know, they have something in common, Al Jolani and the Israeli. They always want peace, but they go for war.
Yeah,
They
they want.
they have this in common. Look, yes, Tom Barak did threaten the Lebanese by saying, if you do not lay out, I mean, like, imagine this this equation. If you do not lay out your arms, the Syrian new regime said that they want Lebanon. Like,
Hmm,
okay, if they want Lebanon, why should I lay down my arm?
yes,
It's the opposite, actually. I should be more ready. Look, what's happening today in Swaida is an example to what's going to happen in this region. Minorities being attacked, and we just saw that Israel attacked Al Julani tanks near
yes,
Al Suwaida, and this is not something that passes on us. You know what I mean? It's the
yeah.
Israelis are trying to be smart about it, but we know that what the Israelis want is for the minorities to tell them, please
And this
protect us
comes
from
only
this.
and this comes only a day after Jolani visited Azerbaijan, and in Azerbaijan he
Mhm.
met with Israeli security officials. So what happened the next day? All of a sudden, his forces attacked against the Druze. It seems there is also tacit agreement between the Jolani regime and Israel in this case.
Look, I saw a tweet for you once, and I would like to speak about it. You said Al Julani is the new Eli Cohen, and I
Mm,
totally agree with you, 100%. They succeeded this time. Eli Cohen did not succeed to reach what the Israelis wanted. They actually improved the plan, and he's the president right now. Um, from 2011, and you know this, Kevork, but it's good for the West, for the people in the West to hear this. It's very important. From 2011, 12, 13, when this conflict started in Syria, the these groups have always been working for the Israelis. And I'm gonna give a small example. The so-called revolution, and I do not say it's a revolution,
mhm.
with even if some of the requests that the people had, maybe they had a, you know, they were right in it, but it's not a revolution. It was something from outside. The Americans and the Western and the NATO and Israel, they pushed for this war to happen in Syria.
But Ibrahim, the U.S. envoy just said that the U.S. Doesn't have a dog in this race. They were not involved in this conflict, and they haven't shaped the outcome of the conflict.
But he's speaking the truth. He doesn't have a dog. He has many dogs in this race, not one dog. So basically, back then the war, the revolution, what's so-called revolution, started in 11th of March 2011. On the 15th of March, and we have this video here, and I saw it many times. We heard something saying, "We are coming with knives to kill you, Hassan Nasrallah."
Yes.
After 4 days, why would you
Hmm.
say that? Hezbollah didn't say a word back then. Why
Yes.
are you telling Hezbollah you want to kill them? Because it was clear from the beginning that these groups work for Israeli and American interests. Uh, they want to push their agenda. They want to divide Syria. They want to divide Lebanon. They want to divide Iraq. And I truly believe, Kevork, that we are going to see ISIS very soon,
Yes.
very soon in Iraq.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I think the next theater is going to be in Iraq again, and Iraq is not. They didn't achieve enough divisions in Iraq yet, according to the Israeli plan, because you're talking about also Greater Israel project. And I believe in this case, this is a real and serious plan from the Israeli side. They have put it into implementation. They are striking deals in the region, and they're expanding militarily. Clearly, geographically, you can see the expansion of the Israelis to this direction, which means Syrians are not only under threat, but the Egyptians are also under threat, something that the Egyptians, it seems, didn't really actively support Syria, which they should have, in my opinion, for their own sake. Now that the Syria is gone, I think Iraq and Egypt are in serious trouble.
Uh, I said this maybe 6 months ago. I truly believe Israel is going to try to weaken the Egyptian army.
Yes.
Uh, Look, the Greater Israel project is from the Nile to the Euphrates. Okay? They want to take Sinai. The Israelis want this. They want to take Sinai to reach what they want. Now, if you look what's happening today in Lebanon and Syria, there is a security belt that is being conducted by the Israelis, and soon they will reach. I mean, they are already there. They're in Al Tanaf, and
Yeah.
after Al Tanaf, they will reach Al Bukamal. Al
Yes.
Bukamal is the borders between Syria and Iraq
Jordan. Yeah.
and Jordan and Iraq.
Yeah.
This is the plan that the Israeli has always been working on. My concern is that the people of this region are not all of them are seeing what really is happening. Kevork, to be honest with you, I'm really worried about this region. I mean, we are going to a place that is so ugly
Yes.
and is so brutal.
Guys, this is the map of the Greater Israel, which Ibrahim is referring to. This is the theoretical, let's say, vision of the Greater Israel project. However, Ibrahim also mentioned something important, and I'm going to show you this document. He said from the beginning of the war in Syria, let's Israeli side, they always supported this type of Takfiri groups. And I believe that the Americans knew about it from the early stages of the Syrian war. And I'm going to prove you. This is a document, guys. This is a leaked document from the Defense Intelligence Agency of the United States. This document goes back to 2012. And I have just done this screenshot to show you. This is a leaked document, guys, from the American Defense Intelligence Agency. And they are assessing the situation in Syria. And as you can see, they say the general situation. Internally, events are taking a clear sectarian direction. B, the Salafists, the Muslim Brotherhood, and Al Qaeda in Iraq are the major forces driving the insurgency in Syria. The West, Gulf countries, and Turkey support the opposition, while Russia, China, and Iran support the regime. So, how much more proof people need from Jake Sullivan's emails, from the leaked document from the Defense Intelligence Agency, thanks to WikiLeaks? We have been reading these documents, and we have established a clear understanding of the Syrian war. Unfortunately, Ibrahim is nowadays, for example, saying that he's afraid of, worried about what could come next. But Ibrahim, don't you also think that we, let's say, I'm not going to exclude myself, we, the people of the region, we made this also easier for Israel and the United States to advance their project in the region?
We definitely did. We definitely did. And I want to be more honest about it, and I want to speak clearly about this point. The sectarian problems that we have in this region help the Israelis to accomplish whatever they want. If we didn't have sectarian reasons, I think this entity would have been done in 1948, to be honest with you. Listen, I always say the Israeli is our enemy, but the Israeli is very smart. He is much smarter than us. Uh, the people of the region wanted to go into civil wars and wanted to have power over some countries, and this is why the Israeli job is easier. And now with this group, Al Jolani group, who, by the way, let me add something. You said about these groups helping the Israelis and the Americans. This group in the civil war in Syria, the first thing they attacked is the air defense system. Why would you attack the air defense system?
I have many videos documenting this from 2012. Attacking air defenses, attacking the satellite positions, attacking the radars. You ask yourself, why are you attacking the Pansirs? Why are you attacking the Puks? And they're calling it an opening, like Futuhat. It's a holy war for them. Against what? Against the air defenses?
No, if you want to become like the president of Syria and you want to take control of Syria, why would you attack air defense system? Why would you
Yeah.
attack the radars and the satellites like you just said? Because they may wanted to make the Israeli job, and it happened after 2014, if you remember, the Israeli job in flying over Syria and attacking points in Syria was much easier due to the fact that they attacked the air defense system.
Yes.
It wasn't something futuhat, or it wasn't something.
Mm.
It wasn't a mistake. It was planned, and they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yep. And in this case, we have to remind also our audience that the so-called rebels who attacked basically these air defense positions of Syria, they were all funded and trained by two joint military operation rooms, one in Turkey and the other one in Jordan, one of which was called MOK and the other one was called MOM. And through these secret operation rooms, they have been funneling weapons and training and logistics to these groups, something that the former Qatari foreign minister Hamad bin Jassim confessed himself, saying that, yeah, we were in this military operation rooms and we have given support to these rebel groups. Maybe we made a mistake by supporting Al-Nusra Front, but then when they asked us to stop supporting Al-Nusra Front, we stopped supporting Al-Nusra, but that's also a bullock, because what they did basically, they changed the name of Nusra Front into Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, and said, we no longer support Al-Nusra Front, it's now HTS.
You know, what's funny about it also is that we started this, this interview with Tom Barak saying that the Americans had no dog in this race. Sheikh Hamad bin Jassim was saying that the Americans were taking all the decision in the war room. And
Yes.
the Gulf countries were paying, and what Sheikh Hamad bin Jassim said, he said we pay $2 trillion.
Yeah.
$2 trillion. Kevork, $2 trillion. Palestine will be liberated 16 times.
I mean, this raises the question, like, what's the role of these rich Arab Gulf countries? Some people now say Persian. I mean, okay, all these these Gulf monarchies, let's say. When you see their role basically in the region, starting from Afghanistan, at least when they funded this Mujahideen there against the Soviet Union, and then they copied this script in different places in our region, it's quite clear that somebody's tasking them to follow, let's say, this type of instructions. But you know what bothers me the most? It's not Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia does it in public. Like, they don't hide that they have supported this Mujahideen in the past. Even MBS came and said, we were asked to support these radicals and we no longer want to do that. I mean, he said that. But there is one country in the region, Qatar, that plays this really dubious role by presenting itself as the pro-Palestine country in the region. It has its own Al Jazeera, but under the table, they have played, in my opinion, the most important role alongside Turkey in destroying what is called the axis of resistance. They are one of the most richest countries in the region, and they're the most enthusiastic in bringing these Islamist Takfiris into power, starting from Egypt, Tunisia, and then Syria. So the role of Qatar cannot be underestimated.
Look what's happened. Look at the map of the region. You will understand that these countries doesn't, they don't have their own decision. They don't have their own sovereignty. The United States is taking the decision. All these countries, whether it's Saudi Arabia or Qatar, and the boogeyman of this region is. They have two boogeymans. One is a real boogeyman, and the other one is an American invented boogeyman. The
Yes.
first real boogeyman that the American threatened the Gulf with is Israel. If you do not do what we want, Israel will attack you. And the fake boogeyman that they threatened the Gulf states with is Iran, even though Iran doesn't have hostility towards the Gulf states. And this is how they push the Sunni Shia conflict in this region. This Shia Iranian, country wants to take over the Sunni countries and they want to destroy you. And the fact that the truth is no, they don't. Well, who wants to destroy us are the Americans and the Israelis. It's that simple. I feel, look, Israel is an advanced military base for the United States in this region. Whether we want to see it or not, this is the truth. The United States cannot have control over the world without having control over the Middle East. And to have control over the Middle East, they need to have Israel. That's why Joe Biden said at the beginning of the 7th of October, if there was no Israel, we will create another Israel.
Yes.
If you remember this sentence that he said.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
They need Israel to have this. Now, people say, okay, but they have military bases in the Gulf. Why do they need Israel? In order for them to have built these military bases in the Gulf, They needed Israel. They still do, because also these military bases are sitting ducks, while Israel is a state that is an army that has a state, is an advanced military base for the Americans in this region that is also considered uh, by the world, except us, of course, a country. We do not see it as a country. We see it as an entity that is, at the end of the day, cannot stay because it's an illegal occupation.
You know, one of the reasons why Israel is very important, in my humble understanding, is when you see the empires who pass through the region, most of them tried to occupy the eastern shore of the Mediterranean and all the way to northern Africa or Egypt, modern day Egypt. So planting Israel between the Levant and North Africa, it's like you are already blocking the geographical connectivity between two important vital regions, which, if they come together through economic integration or economic cooperation, they would emerge as a strong economic power in the region, and eventually they would pose a serious threat to the American unipolar world. So the question here bears, Ibrahim, if the Middle East is that important for the US to establish or impose its hegemony over not only the region but over the world, then why would Russia withdraw from this important case when it came to Syria? You know, like this is a serious question that many people are asking also in the chat, and I'm very open to criticism because I criticized Russia for long for trusting Erdogan, but the type of withdrawal that Russia did after huge investment in the country, it's not the same that the Iranians did, because the Iranians were forced to leave. And I believe that the Russians had the capacity to at least slow down the advances of Jolani from Aleppo to Damascus, something that they decided not to do for some other calculations.
I believe, and I really do not want to go deep into this subject. If you can forgive me, I'm gonna, sum it up in a few sentences. I believe it's a deal that has to do with gas in the Mediterranean Sea, and President Assad being very close to the Gulf regions like this. The Russians did not like it,
Mm.
and this is one of the reasons they did that. And another reason is because, and let's be honest, the Axis was handled a very hard blow.
Mhm.
A very hard blow. The Russians have their front, the Ukrainian front, and I don't know if they did a deal with the Americans. What I can see is no, they didn't do a deal with the Americans, because the Americans do not want a deal right now in Ukraine. Trump is not saying the truth. He doesn't want to end the war right now in Ukraine.
No.
Um, I truly believe that at some point, I agree with you, the Russians made a mistake by not stopping Al-Jolani. I truly do not have the answers why. I'm speculating why. Maybe in the future we can see why the Russians did that, but I think their presence in the Mediterranean, on the Mediterranean shore, will be damaged a lot, if not ended, because of what happened.
Yeah, and it will impact their also the maritime power, let's say geopolitical power, not only in the Mediterranean but also in the Black Sea. Because what they did basically, they had now they connected between the two seas, the Mediterranean and the Black Sea, and they were able to send a fleet from the Black Sea to the Mediterranean thanks to Syria. And now they have isolated themselves. And during the Cold War, the Americans were always keen to have the upper hand over this as a sea power. So Soviet Union was mostly land power, America was a sea power. This is a theory we could argue whether it had a major impact or not. But the theorists in Russia say that we have to learn from our Cold War era by not giving up on the sea power completely to the Americans. And I think the Americans have they have hit them very hard in this to the Russians in the region. And I would like to make some comments, Ibrahim, if you allow me, because in the past days I have seen lots of fairy tales about the last days of Assad and the Russian role in this case. So I want to just screen this tweet which I made, this post on X, because it's very, very important, guys, to understand what happened. And there's some to be honest with you, some people are making lots of allegations, and I think we have to be very careful. So I said, I'm seeing a wave of fairy tales on X about Assad's final days, most of them blaming Russia or spinning vague, quote, insider stories. Let's set the record straight. First, I'm not defending Russia. Moscow made serious mistakes, especially in trusting Erdogan's Turkey again and again, even when it came at Syria's expense. But what Tom Barak is saying here is complete nonsense. You remember the video we played at the beginning of this video. I'm referring to that. In October 2024, the US delivered a list of demands to Assad through the Jordanian foreign minister. This included sealing Syria's borders with Lebanon, which means cutting the supply chains of Hezbollah and aligning Damascus with the so-called moderate Arab bloc. Assad rejected all of them. Jolani, on the other hand, had already agreed on every US condition. So in November, the US, in coordination with Turkey, Israel, and Qatar, restarted the regime change operation and ousted Assad. Now, this story is very important, guys. I'm reading some stories from people who are on the side of the axis of resistance, and they're claiming that Russia Assad was held hostage in Russia during his visit to Moscow on November 28. So what they're basically saying that when Assad flew to Moscow to receive support from Putin about the military operation of Jolani against Aleppo, the allegation that Assad never returned from Moscow after these talks with Putin. And this is complete nonsensical, guys, because Assad returned to Syria after the Moscow visit. He met Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, in Damascus on December the 2nd. He spoke on the phone with few Arab leaders, Tunisian, Algerian, Iraqi, and Emirati. His advisor, Hussein Shaban, met him on December the 7th in Damascus, and they had scheduled another meeting for the next morning at 9 a.m. His son, Hafez, posted a photo from Damascus on December the 7th saying, I'm paraphrasing him, we are going to stay. So we have to forget really about this fiction. The real question is this. When a senior Russian security official asked Assad to relocate to Latakia to lead military operations, did he leave the Hamamim air base against his will, or did he give up and accept asylum in Moscow? This is the real question. So the allegation that Moscow flew to Moscow and he was held hostage there is complete bullocks, guys. Whoever is telling this, how much credibility this person has, how much objective this person is, whether politically is with or against the axis of resistance, this is completely inaccurate. So whoever is spreading this is inaccurate, and it never happened. Ibrahim, now let's talk about your article, The Axis of Israel, Al-Jolani and Netanyahu's Alliance. Jolani many times said that they are he shares mutual enemies with Israel. We know who is referring to, Hezbollah and Iran. Do you have serious concerns that this type of coordination could lead into a military operation from the Jolani side against Lebanon, and namely against Hezbollah?
It's not concerns. It's actually, the Lebanese are receiving reports of Al-Jolani preparing to do this attack from the eastern borders of Lebanon, on the borders with Syria. Even if you listen to Tom Barak, he said it clearly that they see Lebanon as a part of Syria. And the leakage of that they wanted to have Tripoli, a northern part of Lebanon, is not also something that we can take lightly. Look, they need access to the sea if they want to divide this region. Al-Jurani will only get, Damascus and what's around Damascus. He
Yes.
needs access to the sea, and the access to the sea is Tripoli and northern Lebanon, which is the closest point to Damascus from the sea. And by the way, this is where, going back to the civil war in Syria, this is not a civil war. It's not a civil war. Going back to the war in Syria, this is the port that they used to smuggle weapons to to the Takfiri groups before Hezbollah entering the war in Syria.
Yes.
So yeah, they do need a sea access, a port, and Tripoli is one of is the main point that they want to attack. Also, the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. The Bekaa Valley in Lebanon is a very important point for not only one aspect, but for many aspects. The first one is Israel believes this is where the ballistic missiles that the
Mm.
resistance have are stored. So this is the first thing. Second thing, this is an important supply route to the resistance in Lebanon, passing through the Bekaa Valley. Third thing, it's a very important agricultural spot in this region. And fourth thing, and very important, a lot of studies say that this area has a lot of natural resources, which is also something that they would want to have. An attack on Lebanon, Kevork from Al-Jolani, I think is gonna happen without a doubt. Uh, I truly believe they also have sleeper cells inside Lebanon ready to move. And sadly,
Who do you mean their assets? Who do you mean by assets? Some people, let's say, Takfiris in Tripoli, or also maybe they could be joined by some of the Syrian refugees who support Jolani.
not only Syrian refugees, there are some Lebanese who are supporting him. And there are sleeper cells not only in Tripoli. The Lebanese army just caught yesterday a sleeper cell in Beirut and another one
Who
in
are
the
these
southern
people? Who are
suburb.
these people? Who do they belong to? Ideologically, they are definitely with Al Qaeda, but
Yeah,
are they organized?
some of them are organized, some of them are not. This is what the army said. I truly believe they are organized. I mean, why would you have drones and weapons? And I think the army is trying to keep the people calm, not to create a chaos. But yeah, they are organized, and some of them had access to the Mossad. They caught them talking to the Mossad, not only Al Julani. So they have this is what the report said, that they had an app on their phone that connects them directly to the Mossad. Uh,
Wow.
so basically, yeah, the attack on Lebanon is going to happen without a doubt. The question is when, and the other question is how.
Mm,
Is the Israeli going to do a ground invasion at the same time, or just going to attack from, air support? And
mm,
inside of Lebanon, what's going to happen? I truly believe that they want to end the resistance in Lebanon. So what they will try to do is an attack from every side, from Al Julani, from an interior groups inside of Lebanon, and the Israeli, all three together. That's why at the beginning of our interview, and before we go on air, we were speaking, and I told you, Kevork, I'm really worried about the region.
yeah, me too. So
Yeah.
there were two political parties in Lebanon, the Phalanges and the Lebanese forces. Those are both, they consider themselves right-wing Lebanese groups, and I'm not attacking them by saying they're right-wing groups. They consider themselves right-wing Christian groups, and they have been consistently on the opposite side of the Assad government, always. And because of the experiences of the Lebanese civil war, and the Syrian army fought against them, and there were lots of animosity, I understand. But when the Syrian war started and we saw the nature of the people fighting against Assad, how the Phalanges and the Lebanese forces continued to be on the opposite side of Assad, even though this was very counterproductive, even for their own taste, right? In Lebanon. Now that we have serious threat against Lebanon as a political entity, this is represented by joint threat by Israel and the Jolani regime. What is going to be the position of the Lebanese Christian phalanges and the Lebanese forces, those who consider themselves right-wing
Mhm.
Lebanese?
They actually spoke about it yesterday, and they asked
Mm,
Hezbollah to lay down their weapons so the Americans can save us. And I'm quoting what they said: lay out your weapons, the Americans will save us. Look, these groups, to be honest with you, they are they say they share the same views as the Israelis, and they are part of the project, the Israeli project. And I don't think they are shy about it these days. I think they are speaking openly about it these days. That they are part of this project, American. They call it an American project, but what we know, an American project is an Israeli project. There is no difference. They don't. They would fight with Al Jolani against Hezbollah. This is my opinion.
But the people will be slaughtered. We're talking about ordinary Christian, Lebanese, Maronite people. They will be slaughtered just like the people are being slaughtered in Syria. So I really don't understand the logic behind it. Nowadays, I saw some, I'm saying, people, I'm saying ordinary people, not the political leadership and all this and other people. I'm just talking about ordinary people. Like, they were really worried now that Jolani may attack against Lebanon. And now all of a sudden, everybody's asking the question, will Hezbollah defend the borders if Jolani attacks us? And they wanted to disarm Hezbollah only 1 week ago.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny and sad at the same time. They are saying they cannot. They are threatening also, not saying they are threatening the Al Jolani groups on X. They are telling them you cannot enter Lebanon. Hezbollah will protect us. Even though 3 days ago they were saying we need to disarm Hezbollah.
Yeah.
No, the political decision will be taken by the leaders and these groups, and I truly believe they will be fighting. Look, Kevork, in the war that was happening in Syria, were they blaming Hezbollah for entering the war in Syria?
Yes.
And Christians were dying on the borders between Lebanon and Syria back then.
Yeah.
Lebanese Christians and Syrian Christians. Didn't one of the spokesman of the Lebanese forces, he said it. He said, ISIS is against Hezbollah, then I am with ISIS.
Yes, he said that.
He did not hide it. They are not hiding. The masks fell off. We are in a very critical point and a critical time in the Middle East, that the masks fell off. Everybody has to be themselves now. If you are with the Zionist, they are saying we are with the Zionist. If you are with the resistance, then people are saying we are with the resistance. I truly believe these people are part of the American-Israeli project, and they will fight with the Israeli and the Al-Julani at the end of the day.
I remember in 2013 when the Jolani forces, back then they used to be called Al-Nusra Front, they attacked the Christian town of Ma'lula in the suburbs of Damascus. They occupied it, they kidnapped the nuns, they destroyed and desecrated the churches, the cathedrals, etc. Back then, even the Phalanges and these Lebanese forces parties, they were, I'm not saying they were justifying it, but the reporting that they did on MTV, LBC, and other, let's say, TV outlets, they were so, let's say, disgustingly trying to mask it as if some sort of military conflict happening there and not like a targeted attack against a Christian community, right? I think this is important because, look, myself, I was born and raised as a Christian in Syria. I have never looked into the Syrian conflict as a Christian. You know, like, I don't use the religious lens to analyze geopolitical conflicts. But when I see a major military, let's say, player represented by ISIS, Nusra, so-called Islam's Ahrar al-Sham, all of them are saying, I don't care if you are with the revolution or against the revolution. If you were born as an Alawite, if you were born as a Shia, if you were born as a Christian, I'm going to fight you. So it's already an imposed war against me just for being born as a Christian. You know, that's why it is difficult to have a political discussion under such circumstances, and this makes the sin of the Phalanges and the Lebanese forces, it's even double, because what they're doing is basically forcing the Christians to leave with the region due to their policies.
They are going to pay a very big price, Kevork. They are going to pay a massive price for what they're doing right now.
But haven't we all paid? Haven't we all paid?
No, they believe, what they believe is that they will have a Christian state in Lebanon once Lebanon is divided. They believe that they will have a Christian state in Lebanon. This is not going to happen.
And how does
This
this
is
Christian state defend itself when they are surrounded by?
They believe that the Americans will come and defend them. And I'm being very
Inshallah
honest.
khair. Inshallah
I'm being
khair.
very honest. Yeah, that the Americans do not defend anyone. The Americans do what the Americans want to do. The point is this: I believe Samir Jaja is someone who systematically worked on making Christians leave this region. Look at the Lebanese civil war, and look today what's happening. If you look at it, this is not a coincidence. I think this is systematically happening. For He is pushing the Christians to leave this region, and I personally, on a personal level, cannot see Lebanon without Christians. I cannot see this region without Christians. They are at a very essential point in this region, a very essential a group in this region, and honestly, the beauty of this region will be lost if the Christians are gone from this region.
It's not because they represent the only beauty, because the beauty of Lebanon and Syria is in its multiculturalism. And we're not talking about this so-called liberal multiculturalism, which they engineered and enforce it on societies. It's a natural, the cycle of events which happened in the past decades and centuries in this region. It brought lots of different communities, ethnicities, religions, sects into one melting pot, right? So there were at least certain level of coexistence between these groups, and now this coexistence completely vanished. Look, people between 2011 and 2024 used to call what happened in Syria civil war, and I always said it's a proxy war, a geopolitical conflict, etc. But now, after the regime change, there is a civil war in the country because one party is determined to eliminate others based on their ethnic or religious background, and this is very, very dangerous. Guys, 4 months ago, we have witnessed the massacres against the Alawites, right, in the coast. And what the Jolani regime said, they are going to investigate it and they're going to come to conclusions. And yesterday, they should have published the conclusions. They didn't publish it. Today, they attacked Asweda and massacred many Druze. So this type of mentality, this type of governance is not going to succeed in Syria. It's either going to be one colored state represented by this Jolani regime, or it's a vicious cycle and endless wars in this region.
I'm watching something and I'm receiving news right now. The Israelis are saying we will not allow any military presence in southern Syria. They don't even trust them. They don't even trust Al Jolani. Because listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though these groups are, radical groups, they are not all. Maybe Al Jolani is the new Eli Cohen, but the people with him are not all working with the Israelis. They are brainwashed, and they truly believe at some point they want to fight Israel, and Israel will not allow this to happen. They will not. I truly believe that the regime in Syria will change after they sign a peace agreement.
Yes, I think so too. That's they're trying to use this regime. That's why they postponed the elections 4 years. That's why they abolished the constitution, the People's Assembly, the cabinet, because Jolani can sign on any agreement now, and he's not responsible in front of a government, in front of the judiciary, or the People's Assembly or the parliament. That's why he abolished all of this, and now he's saying, "Oh, inshallah, sometime in the future we do elections." I think once he signed this deal, he will lose his value, anyways, to the Americans. But it seems that there are forces in the United States who see Jolani as someone who could keep these radical Takfiri groups under some certain level of control, because then this could completely blow up in the face of the region, and these jihadists could move to other places. This is what they say they are fearful of. I don't know if this is the approach they are adopting in Syria or not, but some forces definitely want for Jolani to stay longer.
Is he keeping them under control in Syria? These groups?
He is keeping them away from Israel, at least.
Only. Exactly. At the moment. At the moment. He is only keeping them away. Look, Israel will not allow such a regime on their borders. Israel will never allow such regimes on their borders. Once he signs the peace agreement, I think they will change his regime. Israel will not allow such a regime on their border. It's impossible. And they
We
are
will
saying,
see.
look what's happening today. They are saying it clearly. We will not allow any military threat in southern Syria, in all of southern Syria. You know that, Kevork, also, of course, that they are 15 kilometers away from Damascus.
Yeah, I know.
Even less than 15.
They are already in Damascus. Once you occupy
Yeah.
Mount Hermon, you put your howitzer there, and then you shoot, you fire on Damascus. It's
Exactly.
already
This is
military
what we
fallen.
were. No. I'm talking about their tanks and their groups and their soldiers. They are less than 15 kilometers away from Damascus. Damascus is Syria is occupied right now. It's not a free country. They didn't get the liberation. They got occupied.
Yeah.
Same as Lebanon.
Ibrahim, last word. Why do you think many people in Syria, in my country, don't see this as an occupation, but rather a liberation? Be honest.
To be honest with you, Kevork, I think it's all sectarian reasons.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think it's the main point. The main point is a sectarian problem. I truly believe that if we remove this sectarianism away from us, I truly believe that we can achieve great things in this region. Great thing. Can just imagine this, okay? I always say this, and this is the first time I speak it. I speak it with some friends, but I'm gonna say it here. Imagine the United States of Arabia. Then tell me who will control the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Americans, they are much smarter than us. They know how to work on our differences.
Indeed. I think that's really sad reality, which why I agree with you, Ibrahim, because I attended several so-called workshops for these think tanks, NGOs. They invited me in Beirut to, they're teaching people to become leaders for the future of Syria, how to draft the constitution and what's going to be the day after Assad. This was from 2012. Since then.
Yeah.
And every time I met these American talking heads in these think tanks and the way they talk to you, like they talk to you like you're stupid,
Yeah.
And I was shocked because why are you talking to me like I don't know anything about anything, because this type of mentality of the imperialists is not only about the foreign policy, it's also the way they see us in the region, and that's why I have had lots of conflicts with them. I have never been invited to such workshops, to this type of think tanks, and I was isolated from all this type of activities. But my colleagues and my friends from the university days, school days, they still attend these workshops. They go to these meetings. It seems they are smarter than me. They're more intelligent than me, according to the criteria of this mainstream think tank. So good job for them.
I was invited to such things when remember in 2019 they made a revolution in Lebanon, if you want. But I never went, to be honest with you, because from day one I knew that the Americans were behind it, because I remember I was in Beirut going home and I read one sign, 1559 now. And I was like, why are you talking about 1559 if you are going to the streets for economical reasons?
Yes.
Yeah, no, the Americans, they know how to play on our differences, Kevork.
Indeed. Ibrahim, I'm very happy to have this conversation with you guys. His X account is in the description below. He's regularly publishing his geopolitical analysis. Go follow him on X and read, be respectful, learn, agree and disagree respectfully. That's what we do on Syriana Analysis. For those who are watching, thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much, our friends, for all the chats in the live chat, and thank you so much, Red Access, for always moderating this live chat in a great way. I'm very grateful for you. And also many thanks to the new members of Syriana Analysis, Alf Odin and Deb Hawthorne. I hope I'm not butchering your names, guys. Really sorry. If you like this content, guys, the easy thing to do is only hit the thumbs up, like, or leave a comment, subscribe. And if you like to do more and support this independent work, there are different means in the description below. I will not see you tomorrow on Tuesday, unfortunately. I do this 5 times per week. I have to be out of town tomorrow for a very important reason. So I will see you the day after on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central European Time, 11 a.m. Eastern American Time. Peace be upon you and upon your families. And peace be upon you, Ibrahim. Salam.